2026 is going to be an awesome year. We got some pretty cool stuff coming up. First off, we got Foundations of Recovery. This is our flagship program. We're starting it in January.
This is for anyone, man, woman, or couple who wants to come and reclaim their heart from shame, trauma, and betrayal. We start off with an education on all sorts of principles, give you the common language. We feed you from a fire hose in terms of all things recovery.
It is such a great start to recovery. And we get at the roots of things, Tyler. This isn't like any other program. Like, this is our healing journey in process, and Foundations is where we begin.
If you look at the value that you're getting there to kick off a good recovery with all of the right education, all of the right language, and a team to get you started while also being directed by Brannon and myself through the whole process, what a deal.
So if you're interested, if you're struggling, if you've been wanting to do something for a long time, jump into this. This only comes around every so often, and we would love to have you there.
Click the link in the description to sign up for it. And to make it even sweeter, we're also including a raffle for a free pass to the Radiant Dawn retreat. Anyone who signs up for Foundations will be added to the raffle for that free Radiant Dawn pass. If you're a man and you sign up for Foundations, your name still gets entered, and you can give that pass away if you win it to any woman that you want to.
So what you're saying, Tyler, is if you sign up and participate in Foundations, you could possibly go to Radiant Dawn for free?
That's exactly what I'm saying, which is crazy because Foundations by itself is already an insane value.
Man, I sound so salesy. But it actually is awesome. So come to Foundations. And even if you don't come to Foundations, sign up for Radiant Dawn. It's beyond therapy, the best healing experiences that you can have.
Click the link below and come join us. How do I get past this emptiness from hurting my wife with my addiction? Welcome to the Real Talk Recovery Podcast with the Therapy Brothers.
We're brothers, we're therapists, and we know recovery.
Bring your stories, your questions, your successes with real recovery.
Tyler, what's up, man?
What's going on, Brannon? How are you doing?
I'm doing really well. I didn't get much sleep last night, but I'm doing really good.
What you doing staying up late?
I actually went out on a boys' weekend with a bunch of my friends, and I've been golfing all weekend. And dude, I tied one guy. There's like 15 of us. I was winning. I tied, and I went to a playoff hole and totally just screwed it up. Like, God. It was embarrassing. I think I like triple bogeyed the playoff hole.
Well, way to go, man. I would have never thought in all the years that I've known you, Brannon, I would have never thought that I'd be talking to you about playing golf and actually winning at something.
Thanks, brother. Thank you. That's so kind of you.
Golf was just never on our radar as we grew up.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I've taken it up recently, and yeah, it's not easy.
Yeah.
And I still suck really bad. So, hey, we wanted to mention Radiant Dawn. We are getting down to it where and I don't even know at this point if there will be a possibility to register, but there might be. And so if you're thinking about it, you're on the fence, there's still a chance. If there's stuff going on in your life right now and you're just like, I need something to wake me up. I need something to help me release, help me surrender, help me know who I am. Go over and get on it. And we would love to see you down in Southern Utah.
Yeah. At the time that we're recording this, we're about 2-3 weeks behind schedule. We do have a couple passes still left. Maybe they'll still be available when this comes out. Either way, radiantdawnconference.com. If you're thinking about it, if you're kind of on the fence, go pull the trigger. This is a life-changing event here.
You know, Tyler, I know a few of the women coming already, and I can say a lot of the experience is about the other people that you're with. And I can say the people that I do know coming are awesome.
Yeah.
And it's going to be awesome. So
yeah.
Anyways, all right.
Let's get into it, Brannon.
Yeah. Chris, welcome to the show.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's good to have you. If you could just give us a little bit of context, tell us a little bit of your story and what's going on and we'll go from there.
Yeah. So recently got married it's going to be a year in April. So I've known my wife for probably about 2.5 years now. We met in January 2021, and then it just kind of hit off really, really well. And, met her in January, and then kind of a few months went by, and then I saw her again in April. And what happened was she was going through a tough time, and I was able to just like connect with her on a deeper level. And then ever since then, it's just been smooth sailing ever since then. I've had my times of going up and down with she and I, but got past some of that stuff. And I've actually been addicted to porn since I was 11 years old. And started then, and it's been active in my life ever since then to now still. So I'm in recovery. I'm in a group of guys that I go every Monday. I go there. I continue to put the work in. But what has happened though is I have hurt my wife with my addiction in many ways when it comes to emotional affairs and talking with women that have been like she has set boundaries with, not to speak to, just to try to get okayness in my life. And there's other things that she has seen that I've hurt with my addiction. And I have seen her as a woman that is wounded. And I have this emptiness because of the shame that I'm feeling. And it's tough because I'm sitting here thinking I'm not in love with my wife anymore, when it's really, I have this emptiness because I'm not loving me right now, which then takes all that away from me. So, I married into her 3 kids. My wife's a little bit older than I am. So I married into her 3 kids. And so she has a boy and then 2 daughters. The boy is 18 years old, daughter's 14, and then 9. The daughters call me dad because their dad's not active. Okay. And so I had first just jumped in, right?
Yeah.
I did. I just jumped in, and I barely just got my life together a few years before we got married. And so coming in, I fell in love with all 3 of them, all 3 of the kids, and then my wife, of course, as well. But now I just have this emptiness because of how much I've hurt my wife with my addiction. And I'm trying to get back to her and try to get to the point of loving myself again so I can show my authentic side to her and not be so snappy with the kids, not be so snappy with her. And I want this emptiness and this shame to just go. I'm not sure what to do. And I've had a whole weekend to think about it. I sent that question in a couple of days ago, I think it was. And I had the whole weekend to think about it. And a big thing is because I'm not connected with my Heavenly Father right now either. So that's a big part too. So it's just, there's a lot going on, but I'm in a big shame spiral, I guess you can say. Big shame tornado. And I'm trying to get past this so I can get close to my wife again and my kids.
Is there anything else as a result of the shame that you're living from right now that is also affecting your life and ability to feel right now besides the sexual addiction?
Honestly, no. No, I think it's the sexual addiction that is the biggest shame portion of my life. It is. It's huge. That is what my shame revolves around, is my sex addiction. And because I've hurt so many people in my life with it.
How old are you, Chris?
29.
29. You've never been married before?
Never.
First marriage. Have you had close relationships? Yeah, I've been in love one other time,
And that relationship was the most toxic relationship I've ever been in.
Okay.
And it was actually 2 years before I met April.
Okay. Were you faithful in that relationship?
Yes, but the slips were still happening probably twice a week, but she didn't know anything about it. So I guess faithful is not the answer because I wasn't honest with her about it. So.
Yeah. Well, your wife, did she know about your struggles before you got married?
Yeah, I told her the second week of knowing her about what I was doing and what was going on because she wanted to go on a date one day. I said, well, I'm actually going to go to group therapy. And then I told her that day what it was for.
Okay. So you were already in therapy and everything before you married her.
I've been in therapy. Yeah. So I was in therapy for, what was it? I think 6-7 months before I met her.
So your therapy has been self-directed since before you've been in the relationship, which I think is a great sign.
Correct. Yeah, because I wanted to. The goal was to get in recovery and to stay sober so I could heal from the wounds that I have so I'm not passing them on to my kids. Mm-hmm. And that goal has failed right now because of where I'm at.
I'm not sure it has failed totally, Chris. I mean, being in recovery and showing what it's like to confront your demons is definitely not a bad lesson to teach your children. I'm wondering, like you said, to heal from my wounds. Could you talk just a little bit more about what those wounds are?
Yeah. So my two biggest wounds are rejection and abandonment. And that comes from my dad being a drug addict, never in my life and out of my life all the time. And then my mom also not being available because she was working, taking care of 5 kids and a single parent. And she was doing her thing. There's times where I wouldn't see her at all, right? And my older sister would take care of me. And so that's where the biggest wounds are, is the abandonment and rejection.
What are you doing to deal with those wounds?
Honestly, when a rejection happens, if I'm being honest, I've been numbing it out always with my addiction, right? But when I bring it back to prefrontal, I'm just sitting in it and being okay with what happened and realize that I need to give myself some self-compassion. Hey, it is what it is. I'm okay with where it's at right now. Kind of how I take an approach with it is if I get rejected, instead of turning it into something negative or into a shame, I always turn it around and say, hey, thank you for showing that wound so I can go and do the work to heal from it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's how I kind of do it. So learning process.
It's Chris, it's kind of Tyler's question's an interesting question here because let me see if I can kind of piece this together. This is what Tyler and I see all the time. Somebody comes into therapy because they're struggling with a sex addiction. Oftentimes they come into therapy because of the relationship and what's happening with the broken trust. That's kind of the pain point that we see a lot of people at, of like, okay, the relationship's damaged. Usually the person struggling with addiction is wallowing in some shame or defensiveness, while the person who's been betrayed is just in a lot of hurt and pain, right? And your question is like, the shame spiral keeps going for the things that I've done to my wife. But what's the actual issue here?
I think it's incongruency. I think my wife, not to play a victim, but I have seen my wife reject me and abandon me in the worst ways in our marriage because of my addiction that affects her.
Okay. Like how? Like what?
When it comes to times where I'm struggling and I have a slip and I go and speak with her, right? It's complete shut down, nothing, like kind of stay away, and it's like, okay, I get why she's upset, and I'm trying to create space as well. And I want to talk to her why, bring an RPS or relapse prevention sheet to her and talk to her about why it happened. But that's not available because she's so hurt by this.
Okay. Yeah. But Chris, you're still missing what the issue is. So what you are describing are the cycles that you get in because of the wounds and the things going on, both from your wife's side of things and from your side of things. And these cycles trigger all these things, which then continue the cycles going on and on. It's interesting what you just said. I act out, she shuts down. I feel abandoned, right? But if we come back to what I know, I'm being annoying.
Not at all.
And Tyler can talk this out a little bit. He can explain what I'm doing here. When we come back to like, what is the issue? I could keep digging with you and say, well, why do you act out in the first place?
Oh, talking about my faulty core beliefs, kind of stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
So that faulty core belief is, I'm not good enough for my wife because I've hurt her so much.
Yep.
And why would anybody want to love an addict?
Yeah. Okay. And even underneath that, you can hear this just powerful shame, toxic shame of like, I'm not lovable.
Correct. I'm not lovable
as I am.
Correct. If someone sees me as who I am, I'm not going to be loved.
Yeah.
They will reject me. They will abandon me.
And you know why that makes porn and acting out and emotional affairs so appealing?
Yeah.
Because you can get hits of like, yeah, people like me, I feel good, but in a non-vulnerable way. So you get kind of a need met in a non-vulnerable way where you don't have to deal with your shame, and you destroy actual relationships and prove the very thing true that you fear is true.
Correct.
But it's not true, but you fear that it's true.
It is, exactly. So that's where I've learned recently in my recovery is I have always been close with women. Okay. Always had a relationship with women, always were friends with them, right? Because I've always tried to get my okayness from them. Okay. Guys were just there, right? So what I've done the last few years is rely on my guy friends, get that male connection that I need, because I need that part of it, because my wife is that female connection that I have that I'm not choosing to be vulnerable with right now.
Well,
So
part of the challenge there, though, Chris, is that because of the cycle that you're in, and this is where I think Brannon was trying to go, is you're doing the right thing by building relationship with your guy friends and trying to rely on your relationship. But because of the cycle that you've been in and the damage you've done, you're having what we call a reenactment happen, where the thing that you experienced as a child that was so damaging to you, and listen to this, even in the way you just described it, I had a non-present dad, so I just look at guys as like whatever. I did have a mom, but mom, when I'm growing up, all I knew was that mom was gone a lot, but she was scrambling to try to do everything she could to provide for us. But the byproduct was that I wanted that connection and nurturing from her, and I never got it. So now that little boy interprets that a certain way, which is the stuff that Brannon started to get to. I'm not good enough. Why would anyone love me? That stuff started long before you were with your wife, right? And now when you go to your wife and she's hurt, it's the core belief itself that's the issue. It's not that she pulls away from you. She's doing what any normal person would do, but the reenactment is now happening because it's proving you right that your false beliefs that you formed as a child must be true. Right. And then that's when you go and you find the medicine Brannon's talking about, where you can go and get a little dose of it. It's like, but it's not a medicine for a wound. It's more of like an attempt to fill a void that started a long, long time ago. And it won't ever quite fill the void, because once you use up one person who to give you all of that empathy and validation, other woman or whatever, you're going to need the next one, because you've associated that nurturing kind of thing in those sexual ways or other ways with other relationships with women. And until you address the belief system that's pushing all of that together, it's going to be really difficult to break the whole cycle. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, because that's the part that I've been working so hard with, to figure out what it is. Like, what is this piece right here? Because, there's times where I'll just dump everything, like, kind of on April, all the emotion, the feeling, right? Because I feel like I don't know how to manage my emotions well, because I've numbed them out for the last 18 years of my life.
Yeah.
Chris, what, just going along with what Tyler's saying, I think we got to kind of drive this home, because I think it's kind of like you have, I always use this analogy. You have a rash and you're putting ointment over the rash to make it not itch. And that's you, like, doing your recovery work. I love the stuff you're saying. Like,
you're doing good work.
Calling your boys, going to your meetings, like, but you're trying hard to be good enough as a husband, as a stepdad. Like, you're trying hard to be good enough, right? So you're putting ointment on that to not itch, and then that rash is popping up elsewhere because you have some kind of bacteria going on inside of you. But you just keep rubbing ointment on it to try to get rid of the itch. And what Tyler and I are saying is, like, let's take a look at what that bacteria actually is in there. And my question for you is, what is recovery? Like, what is actual recovery?
Do my dailies, congruency, talking about my slips, going to my meetings, right?
That's not recovery.
Okay.
I know I'm annoying. That's not recovery. I've worked with tons,
I love it.
I've worked with tons of clients who have done that stuff perfectly, like, so well. And they do it all for the wrong reasons, with the wrong intentions, to try to prove themselves, to try to be good enough, to try to show their wives that they're working hard, to try to, like, that's all good, wonderful stuff. That's not recovery.
Okay.
So let's try again. What's recovery?
Healing my wounds, healing myself from trauma that I've dealt with when I was a kid.
Yeah, you're getting there. What are you recovering? You're actually recovering something. Think about it that way.
Is it, I'm recovering, like, what? Myself, my mind, my heart. Recovering.
You just said some good stuff.
Really good.
But I'm curious which one it is, though.
Chris, does God love you?
Yes.
The same way that your dad loved you?
No.
God's love is different?
I don't know what a dad's love is. That's the thing. I know what my Heavenly Father's love is. And I feel that. Okay. I have felt it in times, because, yes, he and I have had more of a business relationship, me and God. I get it. Mm-hmm. And, but I felt his tenderness, and I felt his kindness when receiving, a blessing from a friend of mine. Right. Mm-hmm. And receiving that love and that. So I don't know how, I don't know how to understand how a father's love is.
Right.
So, back to what am I recovering? I don't know. I'm trying to figure that out.
Let's go on a trip for a second, if that's okay, Chris, to try to explore this just a little bit further. And I love what you said, because this is something that I think is, for a lot of our other clients, right at the core of the wrestle that they have when they get into this sexual addiction thing. So first, I want to clarify something Brannon said, and then I want to ask you a couple questions. First thing is that everything you're doing can be recovery. It's the intention with which you do it that will dictate whether or not it's recovery. So I don't want you to hang up the call and be like, I'm throwing out group and I'm throwing out therapy and I'm throwing out. No, all of that stuff is a great structure to drive home the principles of recovery, but it's not the recovery itself. Right. So you're right. You're recovering your heart, your soul. You're recovering really deep down inside your true identity. That's what the process of recovery is. And so I just want to ask you a couple of things really quickly. First, think about the shame you feel as a result of the way you've hurt your wife. And when you sit with that for a second, can you let your mind float back to any other times in your life when you felt a similar kind of feeling in your body? What comes up? What comes up for you?
Are you wanting me to just explain the feeling or the scenario?
Both.
Okay. So the feeling is sadness, just sadness, and maybe a little bit of confusion because I'm showing something that's, I guess I want to say something that's not a part of me, but obviously I'm showing it because it's kind of part of me right now. Right.
Yeah.
So, I guess the time is, let's see which one. There's loads of it.
That's okay. Just give me a couple of them. Just go chronologically backwards from where you're at. Tell me a couple of them.
Let's just yesterday. Okay.
Okay.
So yesterday, we came back home from the Waste Management Open. Okay. Me and the wife, my friend and his girlfriend, we came back and I came inside and my mom was over and, she was going to watch the Super Bowl. And my wife comes in and I have this big 26-foot sliding glass door in my backyard. So it was open and the dogs were coming in and out. And April walks in and she goes and shuts it. And I'm just like set off. I'm triggered. I don't know what it was, but I was just triggered. I actually do know what it was. And I'll get back to that here in a second. And it was a kind of like I argued with her and I did embarrass her in front of my family. And she went upstairs to go take a nap because she was exhausted from the day. And then my daughter, Riley, my 14-year-old, when I was trying to put food together, was talking to me and I was snappy with her. And I said, "What do you need?" And then she was kind of like, And I was like, "Riley, what do you need? I said, "What do you want?" And she walked away and she says, "Never mind." And I raised my voice and said, "Stop with the stubbornness and tell me what you wanted." Mm-hmm. And what she said to me was, "Chris, I just wanted to pour. I was going to ask you if you wanted a glass of ice with Coke."
She was being nice.
She was being nice. Okay.
Being nice. And I felt like absolute poop, man.
Okay. So Chris, I want you to take that one more time. That feeling of feeling like absolute poop, and you're sitting there and you're like, "Oh, that." I want you to feel that feeling inside, and I want you to let your mind float as far back as possible to the earliest memory when you felt a similar feeling.
Okay.
Does anything come up?
Yep.
What?
So I was okay. I'm gonna go into real stuff right now. Okay. So when I was 5 years old. No, sorry, no, not 5. We're gonna go back to I'm 11. We're gonna do 11. Okay.
Okay.
When I started the actual addiction, right, with the pornography and stuff. So it actually, that shame that I felt and that feeling that I felt with Riley, and that shame is because like I started to act out with another guy. Okay. When I was younger. And every single time we did it, I felt that way. Always. Every single time I felt that way because the result behind it was I sexualized a guy connection because I was missing that father and connection from my dad. Right. And that shame has been there always. I have only shared this story with 5 different people. Wow. And now people on your podcast are going to know, which is fine. Okay. But that is that feeling though. Okay. And it all stems around, I feel, this is what I have kind of thought about this weekend. It all stems around like my parents. Like the reason why I snapped at my wife is because my mom triggers me. Because I know who she is now and what she's done. And it's just a big trigger. My dad's a big trigger. My mom's a big trigger. Like they're a huge trigger for me.
There's resentment in there and just, yeah.
You're starting to see that there's some things there that are inside of you because they've had a direct impact on you. And so of course you've got that stuff. No, Chris, like what you just shared is pretty insightful that your addiction started at age 11. This instance, this relationship happened looking for a way to validate yourself as a man, even though it became sexualized. Do you think there's any coincidence between a boy's maturation, your lack of connection at home with your parents, your need to look for masculine energy, and the addiction itself all coming together? Do you think it makes sense at all as to why that stuff started to happen?
Oh yeah. I understand all that portion of it.
So I'd like for you to go one step further back now, and then Brannon, you can take over where you want to go with this. But I'd like you to actually think about your life before shame. Who was Chris as a little boy? Like, what did he love? What did he have passion about? What was his personality like? All of that stuff.
So I was outgoing. I was always outgoing. I played baseball my whole life. So I was a baseball player, sports. That was what I loved to do. Since I was 5 years old, I always played baseball. Always was good at it. And I was a kid that would walk around in shorts, shirt off, no shoes in summertime in Arizona, barefoot. Like
wild and free.
That's what I was like, when I was a kid. And honestly, the memories of being that young are just so vague to me. So vague.
What about the memories of feeling? Brannon just said it. What about the memory of feeling wild and free? When's the last time you felt just freaking wild and free?
When I am out wheeling with my buddies, going up, rock crawling, right? Going up crazy obstacles, taking my Jeep up somewhere and my top's off, right? On my Jeep, and nobody's there just besides me and my buddies, right? My wife is at home. It's just me with my buddies, and we're just wheeling and we're having a good time out there. And also when I'm golfing too.
Hey,
sounds like you and Brannon need to get a trip together.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's where it's at. But I feel like me being wild and free hasn't happened since I've been in my addiction, since 11 years old, because how can I be free if I'm wearing a mask every day of my life?
That's right. That's exactly right. So the little boy, how did the little boy see himself that was wild and free before all this stuff happened? How did he see himself? Who was he?
He was a good baseball player.
Okay. I love that answer.
He was a good baseball player. First year of baseball, 5 home runs, and then 1 grand slam. First year playing.
Wow. Cool.
And he was, if I'm being honest, that part was there, but little boy Chris was always sad, missing his dad.
Yeah.
Where's dad at? Yeah. Right? Where's dad at to experience this with me, right? And So I guess it's just, I don't know.
It's interesting what you just said. The wound and the wounding has almost always been there. I mean, your dad was a drug addict from the time you were born.
Yeah.
Right. The wounding has always been there. So Tyler's trying to tap into that understanding of self, of just being unconditionally loved by God, and helping you see yourself that way. And it's interesting because you're having a hard time fully knowing what that actually feels like because the wounds have always been there.
Correct.
And one thing I want to highlight about kind of where Tyler's taking you here is with you bringing up what happened with your friend. I've had several clients that have been through similar experiences, and also the abandonment issues that you had with your parents. We can't put words and describe what that shame feels like. Like, it is so isolating. It is so dark. It is so just destructive. It torments your soul. And it's not fair to a little boy. You're going through this process to an 11-year-old boy. As these things start to happen, you all of a sudden are faced with this monster that is overwhelming, that starts to define you and tell you who you are. And your work, Chris, is to say, okay, now I'm an adult man, and I can spend the rest of my life believing what this shame and this monster is telling me who I am. Or I can take this addiction that's a blessing in my life and use it to actually go rediscover who I really am beyond the wounds of my father and the wounds from his father and his father and his father. I'm going to be the one that breaks this chain, because I'm going to do my hard work to actually rediscover who I really am with God, to actually feel that and know that in my heart, like really know it in my heart. And you'll be amazed when you do that work, things with your wife will start to fall into place. You won't be triggered. You won't be yelling at your stepdaughter. You won't be like, those things won't happen as much because you'll be more at peace with yourself. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Go ahead, Tyler.
I was just going to say, I think, Brannon, with where you're going with this, and with Chris, what you were saying about your relationship with God and not knowing even what it's like to be loved. Like, I think where we're both trying to go is that we often see that maybe one of the first things, if it's this kind of law of, from a Christian perspective, the law of sacrifice, is that we have to lay something on the altar very often to kind of cultivate our own hearts. And maybe one of the first things that we have to learn how to lay back on the altar in the context of our relationship with God is the belief system that you're now starting to uncover. It's like that's been so ingrained that we didn't even know that we could release that or surrender that. And now I get a chance to go lay that on the altar over and over again and open my being up to the possibility of a different kind of a relationship with a higher power than maybe the one I've experienced before, by letting go of those false beliefs that I've been carrying with me unknowingly for my whole life, until you've started to uncover all of this stuff.
I like that we go in and talk about God, because last night my wife had to go and get some school supplies last night for my daughter. She started a new school. And I had a fire last night, just sitting in my hammock, looking up. I told him, I was just talking to him. I said, hey, I'm done with our business relationship. Yeah. I said, I need a dad. I said, I need the gentleness. I need the love. I said, I need that relationship. I said, my heart is open to understand how to do it. I said, but I need to be taught by you. Mm-hmm. And the answer is, I got to let go. Yep. And that's one thing that I struggle with. I got to let go of.
Could I ask you something, Chris?
Yeah.
With that, I think you're absolutely right. And this is an interesting thing. You can choose to see it however you want, but I want to ask you, you've basically taken a step today by coming on this show towards fully letting go. You just disclosed something that you've never told anyone before. And I also want you to ask you, like, what's been your experience emotionally in what you've received from Brannon and I today?
I was nervous in the beginning, but all it is I feel love, and I feel just a calmness, and and that's what I feel. The nervousness is gone.
Is it possible? And I'm not saying this to be like self-righteous or anything, but is it possible that God himself is trying to teach you in this moment?
Absolutely. 100%. The answer has been shared to me from what we talked about last night.
Yeah.
And it's been true. It's because that little piece that I've been struggling with hasn't hit me. Like people say, Chris, you gotta let go. But really today it's hit me. I just gotta let go.
Let go and let God.
Let God.
Let go, let God.
I want to tell you a little secret that you know, but I don't know if you really know it. You're laying there by the fire. Sounds beautiful, by the way.
Yeah. Jealous.
And you're saying, God, like I'm done with this business relationship. And I don't want to speak for God, but this is what I think, God might be thinking a little bit here is like, I've never had a business relationship.
Exactly.
Like I'm here. I've always been here. I've always loved you. I'm right there. You haven't had eyes to really see it because of your wounds and your trauma. And I love that you take it to a place of surrender, because that's it. It's I'm going to surrender over all these fears about abandonment, all these fears about neglect. I'm going to surrender over whether I think I'm lovable or not. And I'm just going to believe that God does love me. And I'm going to act as if God does love me. And I'm going to look for evidence that God does love me. And as you look for that evidence, as you act as if, I promise you that you'll know it. And you'll experience a consistent love like you felt during that blessing. And you'll experience times you feel like when you're jeeping, where you feel alive, you feel free, you feel wild, you feel like you can be you, completely just you. And what that will do is it will bestow your masculinity. You'll feel from God like I know who I am as a man. And as I know who I am as a man, you start to grow roots of confidence and strength. And then all of a sudden you're not codependent with your wife anymore. You're not, every little look she gives you, you're like, well, I'm so rejected and I'm so this. And it's like, I'm good. I know me, and I don't need to go act out because wife shut down for a day. Like, I'm fine. And that's what recovery really feels like and really looks like.
Love that. Go ahead. What?
I was going to say, have we got to the roots of it today?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. 100% we did. And that's the root, is I just got to let go.
Yeah.
I got to let go and allow myself just to be loved.
Yep.
Allow it. And that's where, that's where the emptiness is, because I've allowed myself just to sit in that shame and just cycle it over and over again instead of just letting go of it.
Yep. Could I suggest that every time you feel that shame, you think of the 11-year-old kid that you told us about instead of the adult man? And let's start with some kind of compassion and understanding and kindness towards the 11-year-old. And then you can make your choices as a grown man. Yeah.
So I've actually, the cool thing is I've actually worked with that. My therapist knows about it, and I've worked with that portion of it, but there was still that shame there. That's where he told me to go to that shame spot again, where he felt. Yeah. I'm just going to let it go. I'm not going to allow the little kid to control the man part of me now. And that's what I'm going to do.
There's a whole other thing we could go on for a couple hours here, but part of this whole letting go, I would guess, would be coming through a process of forgiveness for your parents. Yes. Like where you have deep compassion for your dad and his struggle. And so you can see him as that person who's struggling, that you can love, and not just as this person who has hurt you. Right. And so that's a whole other topic, but I think that's part of the process of you knowing that dad can be an imperfect person who hurts me because I got God on my side. I got that love and I can stand in that instead. Right.
Yeah. And that's a process that I've been working with, and, I have the forgiveness is fully not there yet with my pops
and with your mom.
That's okay.
Sounds like
that's
okay.
true. Yeah. With both, but I'm still there and I still show them love and compassion. Like my dad lost all his teeth from being a drug addict, right? He has 7 of them left. I bought him all brand new teeth.
Wow.
All brand new one because I want him to feel confident about himself, be able to go out and date and go find another woman. And he's been sober from drugs for like 13 years now, which is good. But
nice.
So I'm giving and I'm loving as much as I can. So it's a process. It is, but I think it's just time to actually have a conversation with them about it. Yeah. Let them both know how I feel. And then that may allow me to let that go.
It'll just be a next step in the process. It's going to be a process. And I like that you said that. Could I give you a little homework assignment today?
Please do.
Simple. I want you to go look up the lyric video to Kenny Rogers' The Greatest.
Kenny Rogers.
And I want you to listen to that song.
The Gambler, huh?
Yeah, not the Gambler.
Kenny himself.
Kenny, we're going to have Kenny. I want you to watch Kenny Rogers' The Greatest, and I want you to contemplate what those lyrics mean in the context of what it means to be in recovery for you. Okay?
I have it right on YouTube right there.
Okay.
And then I got one, and maybe you've already done it, but have you read Wild at Heart?
Nope.
Yeah. Where you're at right now, that'll be the perfect book for you. And you might think it's a little weird at first. Stick with it. It'll be life changing.
It's good, man.
Wild
your heart's
Eldridge.
ready for it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Wild at Heart. You got it. Okay.
Chris, any last thoughts, man?
No. Thanks for your time, guys. I do appreciate it. It was a good session, and thank you for making the time. Thanks for your service. And like I said, I love listening to your guys' podcast. I appreciate it.
Thanks for your vulnerability, Chris. I mean, you're the man. You came on here and you did some good work today with us. So I just really am grateful to you. So thank you.
Yeah. Absolutely. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. All right, everybody. Thank you. This podcast episode today has a lot of richness in it. I hope those of you who are listening were able to pick up on some of this stuff. And thank you, Chris, for bringing it to the table, because there's a lot of people here who are struggling with the same kinds of things. So thank you.
Thank you, guys.